Hi, everybody. My name's Matt Haynes. I'm an audiobook narrator, and a few years ago, I decided to acquaint myself with one accent per week. So that was 52 accents for the year. I'm going to take a little bit slower this year and do one accent per month, but hopefully it'll be worth it. The first accent that we're going to try this year is Puerto Rican. And I'm going to take a little bit more of a formal Puerto Rican accent. I've been listening to a lot of politicians from Puerto Rico and just taking that. Um, I will take a less casual Puerto Rican accent because I think probably some of the founding elements of the Puerto Rican accent can be dissected with the more formal. Um, so now we're going to take some of the main principles of the accent that I'm hearing and that I've heard. By the way, a big shout out to my friend Rio Rios, who did some consultation with me on this. We're going to take those things and splice them out and then test drive it with some song lyrics, because I think that's a great way to know accents and to practice accents. Put it to your favorite song and just recite the lyrics. Ba 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 ba. All right. I call this the Mattoon. This is how I illustrate where I'm feeling the resonance coming from based on what I'm hearing from the accent. So for here, the general resonance that I'm getting from the Puerto Rican accent is a big rounding in the mouth, bottom to top, and then a thin exit pattern. So you have a very round sound and it comes right out like this. So instead of what does the fox say, which is what we'd say general American, of course it's done by Norwegians in the song itself, but I would say what does the fox say in my general American accent. In Puerto Rican, I'm getting much more about what does the fox say. Next principle I'm getting is that the general tones of sentences can have a very questioning rise and then a very sharp conclusive drop. So General American, I've got everything a man could ever need, goes even more into, again, that sort of roundedness that I'm hearing, which is, I've got everything a man could ever need. Now, you heard me say everything a man could ever need, and that's really quite surprising to me because unlike other Spanish accents that I've heard, rather than the ah going into more of an ah sound, it becomes an aw sound. So rather than, for example, what I'd hear in another accent, I've got everything a man could ever need, it becomes I've got everything a man could ever need. Likewise, the general American sound, rather than going into an sound, and I remember this because when I was living in Spain, a sundae, an ice cream sundae, was pronounced a sandy. So I imprinted this idea that in Spanish accents, the becomes an ah. Well, what I'm hearing in the Puerto Rican accent is that the becomes almost like an all. So instead of my life is so successful, well, in the accent I remember, successful, in this case, it goes into my life is so successful. Big surprise for me, I'm not hearing any sound before an S followed by consonant word. So scream, the word scream, General American we say scream. In most Spanish speaking accents I've heard, it's preceded by an scream. Nope, nothing there. So it'd simply be scream. To top off some of my surprises, the ah and the o sound, I'm not hearing any reversal, which is very different from the other Spanish accents I've acquainted myself with. So, for example, if we were to pair the words only stop, General American, only stop, in most of the accents I've studied, it would be only stop. In this case, in the Puerto Rican accent, I'm hearing only stop. Voiceless th sometimes turns into an S. 5,000 becomes 5,000. Voiced TH becomes something closer to a D. This is fairly familiar turf. So this would be this. The R's have a nice roll to them. Some accents I've heard have sort of a hard R throughout. In this case, I'm hearing a very lush rolled R. I've heard a couple of politicians say Puerto Rico. So a nice ring to it. The general American sound becomes something closer to an A by our ears. So successful, general American, becomes successful. Slightly clipped endings to words and enunciations. End of a word being clipped in the sense of big and just enunciated, which makes any theatrical actor swoon because we need more enunciation in the world. But I digress. What we're looking at in particular with the song Stonehenge, this is something Rio tipped me off to, is rather than Stonehenge, it becomes Stonehenge. The I sound becomes something closer to an E. So why it was built becomes why it was built. CH becomes closer to an SH. Chasing mice becomes chasing mice. The J sound and the Y sound turn into something closer to a J sound. So just would become just, and yes would be yes. What I'm finding is that depending on what consonant precedes the y sound, it's stronger or softer. But what I'm finding is that if when I say ya with a general American accent, my tongue goes a different place than if I go ja or just you. So what I do is I position my tongue just a little bit downward for that, and that seems to create a passageway that goes something like you, just, your. All right, let's take all this stuff that I've outlined and apply it to two very memorable, very popular songs, and thus easy ones to practice to. Ylvis Brothers with What Does the Fox Say and Stonehenge. My life is so successful, I've got everything a man could ever need. I have a $1,000 haircut, I even have a talk show on TV, and I know I should be happy, but instead, there's a question I can't get out of my head. What's the meaning of Stonehenge? It's killing me that no one knows why it was built 5,000 years ago. Why did they build Stonehenge? How could they raise the stone so high completely without the technology we have today? Big blue eyes, pointy nose, chasing mice and digging holes. Tiny paws up the hill. Suddenly, you're standing still. Your fur is red, so beautiful, like an angel in disguise. But if you meet a friendly horse, would you communicate by Morse? How would you speak to that horse? What does the fox say? So Stonehenge is from the Ylvis Brothers, and the music has been provided by Kevin MacLeod, royalty free. Look him up; it's great stuff. So is this accurate? Somewhat, and this is one of the only instructional videos I've found that has the Puerto Rican accent. So let this be a beginning. If you've got some constructive ideas as to how it can be improved in specific areas based on your experience where accuracy can be improved, put that in the comments. And I will see you soon with our next one in February.